All right, welcome everybody. Uh, my name is Bryant. This is I Have Comic Issues, and we got Dave from Still Only 35 Cents, and this is Comic Channel Origins. And we're here today to talk to Dave about how and why he started his comic book YouTube channel. Thank you for being here, Dave. I know you had to get up bright and early to be here this morning for you, evening for me, but thank you for being here. Um,
No, absolute pleasure, and thank you very much for. I wanted to thank you for being so patient last week because we were originally scheduled to do this last week,
right.
but yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it that time due to other commitments. But yes, thank you for moving this around.
Oh, well,
Um,
no
um,
problem. Thank you. And thank you also for Jason for filling in last week from the Southern Comic Geek. If you haven't already seen that video, please check it out, though. You can go watch that replay. He's got a lot of good information there. And Dave was asking some really good questions in that show last week. Um, so, Dave, we'll go ahead and get started. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't already, you need to go check out Dave's show that he just did with Brandon from Mon Comics. The replay will be, I think it's up. You can go check that out. It was a really good show. And I think Brandon's going to be a guest on this show in a week or two. Uh, we're going to move the time back just a little bit to make it a little bit easier for him to accommodate, but he should be a guest on in about a week or two. Um, all right, Dave. So, first question is an easy one. What inspired you to start your comic book YouTube channel, and what was your very first video?
so what inspired me was so I've been watching comic YouTube for a little while. I think pre-COVID, I've been back in comics since about 2013.
Okay.
2012, something like that. After a while away, I'd collected in my teenage years, but sold them all. Um, I think coming up to 20, as I was getting up to 20, so sold the whole lot, everything. And then it was my kid's birthday, and I got back into comics through that because I wanted to throw a Marvel party for them for
Okay.
my eldest at the time. And I went to I wanted to give each of the kids a vintage comic book, right, as a sort of little package when they go away. And I was trying to obviously get kids into comics as well, which is, it's great having these movies, but none of these kids understood that these all originate from comics.
Right.
So anyway, I did that and found some of these books, and then just realized just how expensive some of these books were that I was previously collecting. So I got back into it. And then as part of that, I started watching a lot of YouTube channels, the usual stuff like Comic Tom. And obviously, I was about to set up a channel during COVID. So I had set up, but I never pulled the trigger.
Right.
So I sat on it for a few years. And it was only when the big driver for me to start the channel was the fact that I wanted to do something different. And I hadn't really, I didn't want to just do what everyone else is doing. But then I wanted to also have the right equipment because I felt that was the thing. If I was going to do it, I wanted to make sure the presentation was good. And if you go back and look at the first video, it's not that great, but it still looked okay.
Okay.
So my first video was a direct follow-on from my first, I think, YouTube appearance with John and Richard at Bronze and Modern Gods. So I was at
Okay.
Baltimore Comic.
I do listen to their podcast. I don't actually watch their videos, but I listen to the podcast, and I've heard you referenced on there a few times when they do them
Yeah, we go.
stuff like that.
Yeah, we go way back to that Baltimore show, and that was the first one. They had me on their live stream, and I was showing off a whole bunch of Silver Age keys that I'd got to get graded at Baltimore. And so my first video was a direct follow-on from that. It was actually, these are the results of the books that I got. So there was a Hulk 1 in there. There was a Amazing Spider-Man 1, a few key Thor books. And that was my first dip into it. And I didn't know what to expect. I think, like every YouTuber, I thought, oh, it's going to blow up overnight, which it doesn't. Right? But it was a great start in terms of being on their channel and then starting my own channel, which I told them at the time as well, which is good. And yeah, we've sort of been in and out of each other's streams over the years. I've been on their show a couple of times. They've been on mine. They were on my Christmas special alongside other host of folks, where they talked about the books that they picked up through the year. It's probably something I'm going to try and keep doing every year. Get a few sort of YouTubers that have been on the journey with me, and I think that's the reason why I started it. I wanted to be, I saw what John and Richard were doing. I saw what Comic Tom was doing, and I just wanted to be part of that whole community. So, and I think that's the key. Sorry.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So who's been on YouTube longer, you or Mad Spidey?
Mad Spidey for sure. Mad Spidey's been on. He's another one that's a dear friend and someone I've come to know through this whole hobby. I think he's been on it for four years or something like that. He's been on it a while. I've only been on YouTube for a year and a half, or just over a year and a half now.
Oh, okay.
Actually, longer than that. It was October. It was actually Halloween, in 2 years ago. So yeah, I'm sort of about 2 months away from my 2-year anniversary.
All right. Well, you're doing a lot better than I am. I've been on, I think, maybe 2.5 to 3 years, and I only got like 540 subscribers right now. But you're a little bit more consistent than I am.
I think I was actually talking to Brandon about this when we had the stream earlier. I think that's one of the crucial things that a lot of people don't realize, is that it's having that consistency. So I do one video a week, try to get one video out a week. I did one live stream, and more recently I've done, say, 2 or 3 shorts, depending on the actual videos that come out. So you might have seen on my channel, there's a lot more shorts coming out now as well. And that way the algorithm can see. I think that's what I've come to learn. I do watch a lot of these YouTube channels about how to build your subscribers, get the more views. The content is the king in getting that. But equally, if you're not consistent, it tends to not ignore you, but it doesn't have a pattern to be able to build from.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't ignore you, but it doesn't actually pay attention to you also.
Yeah, it sort of needs to have a track record, right? To see, and we'll probably come to this later on, that the content type as well. You have no idea what content is going to do well versus what's not going to do well. I'll give you a good example of that. The recent Hulk video I did, which we talked about backstage. It was a deep dive on Hulk 181 and Wolverine's creation. Hasn't done as what, I would have thought that would have done fantastically. It hasn't done that great. Where there'll be other videos that just completely surprise me, that just go completely nuts.
But with that particular type of video, I would think that could also fall, even though it's probably categorized as entertainment, it would also fall into what I would consider evergreen content. Yeah. So say in a year or two, when or 5 or whatever, and the MCU does, and Wolverine actually gets brought in, or the X-Men actually get fully brought into the thing, people might start looking for the creation of Wolverine, and the algorithm will pick it up, say, hey, Dave's already done this, here you go. And it'll probably get a spike later on down the line.
Yeah, I haven't had that yet on any video, which is interesting. I haven't. That's probably the biggest weakness with the channel. I haven't done much of this sort of evergreen. Well, I suppose it is evergreen, right?
Right.
But it's just, there hasn't been an event like there hasn't been a piece of content that's gone out, say, in a movie, that's sort of clicked or made that come to life.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, it'd be interesting. Maybe we'll come back to or have you back on, say, when Wolverine and the X-Men actually arrive in the MCU. The traffic is picked up in that video.
Let's see. But yeah, I don't make videos because I'm trying to hit the algorithm.
Right.
I make videos because it genuinely interests me, or I think I've got a story to tell.
Right.
Um, so you notice in that video as well, I was toying with telling my story about my Hulk 181, but I made a deliberate decision to not do that. So
Right.
traditionally, I would show a book and tell a story, or have the book highlighted, and I didn't. I chose not to do that. I wanted it to be much more of a here's the story of the creation of that character, and have that, and then finished it with a little tease that I'll cover off my story with the book, because it didn't feel like that worked. But
Yeah. And as a viewer of that video, I could say I appreciate that aspect of it because it was more about the history of Wolverine or the creation of the character, not necessarily like you said, but your story of how you got your copy of it,
yeah,
which that would definitely be secondary. I mean,
yeah,
people were there to see how Wolverine came about and originated because I mean, Wolverine's my favorite Marvel character, and I didn't know all that information about him. So,
oh, that's good.
so
That's
you
good. I
find
think,
these,
yeah, that's what I was really looking to try and do. Is you can see no, I didn't see any other videos where it was that deep dive in terms of the creation. So again, it felt like a gap. So I did it, and that's generally how I pull together the content. I try and think about. I want to give everyone who's watching a little bit of information that they might not have, as well as information for those that are new to it as well.
okay, yeah, like my first experience with Wolverine was uh, X-Men 133.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was the first time, and it was a bunch of comics that I actually got from my cousin that he just didn't want anymore, and he gave them to me. So it was like that and a couple other ones in there. So, but that was the first time I saw Wolverine. So I was like, oh, this guy's awesome. So he was the
That's
best there is at what he does.
He definitely is, and it's amazing when you think about that original first appearance, how big he's become, like, as a character. And I do think a lot of that is down to the way that Hugh Jackman portrayed him. So it'll
Yeah.
be interesting if and when they ever recast that character.
Be interesting to see if they go with somebody accurate in height.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe I can't see us having Henry Cavill. I don't think the Calverine will be it. I heard an interesting rumor about Daniel. What's the
Daniel Radcliffe.
Daniel Radcliffe? I could sort of see that, but yeah, he just needs to bulk. He would have to bulk up a little bit, but yeah, that looked interesting.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to see it first. I don't know.
There's a couple of mock-ups that someone's done, and I think there's one where he's because he did get quite buff in one of his movies, and I think they used that as an example. So.
Okay. Yeah, I think yeah, he played something where he was like an angel or something like that.
Mm, yeah, yeah,
Some show. I don't know. It was a weird. It was a different one.
it was.
um. All right. Was there a specific? Do you think there was a specific moment or video where you felt like your channel really took off?
Um, so there's been a lot of moments. I don't think it's been a really interesting journey. Like, at the first 1,000 subscribers, I was just, subscribers was all I was after. Like, look, that was the measure. So for the first year, I had this view. It was like I wanted to really try, get to that 1,000. That was my pivotal point. If I can get to 1,000, then I've monetized. But it's changed, right, over the year, almost 2 years now, where it's more around the pivotal moments now is when I get the content better, looking
Right.
better. So I look back and I sort of look back at the first videos, and I made conscious decisions. Like, I was unboxing stuff and I was actually taking the boxes out and putting it, and now I don't do that anymore. Like, the books are here I show the books. I don't go and sort of crack open the CGC box. I literally just present the books. There are other things like when I started doing the lives. That was an amazing change because it allowed me, rather than stacking up all this content, it gave me another avenue to be able to show some of the books that I wouldn't necessarily do a deep dive on. And it was great to be able to have that alongside the main channel. So
Right.
you'd have a long form video where I'd take a week to write the script, do the show, and then I'd have this live stream where I could be a bit more freeform because the long form videos are not scripted, but a lot more research, thought through. So
Right.
it gave me a chance to talk to the community as well, and I think that was it. I think the real pivotal moment, more recently, I think the pivotal moment was having my first big video, like from a comics channel video. Like it's my Superman video just went through the roof. Got over 60,000 views now.
Oh, wow.
I picked up about 1,000 subscribers from that one, and it just keeps going. But there's been plenty of little versions of that. Like when I did my first big one that I realized that some content does better than others was the idea. I went to the oldest comic book shop in the world, which is in Seattle.
Okay.
I did a video on that, and that one went to almost 6 or 7K off the bat. And again, got me a few subscribers. So there's been little moments like that. It's not just one pivotal moment. It's almost you put a video out like that, and it teaches you something else, and then you try the same thing again. Like the con videos tend to do well. The shop tours do well, but only if you've got a point of difference. So I did the biggest comic shop in Australia. I did the oldest comic book shop. So I'm trying to do a few of more of those things where it's like a really unique point of difference, why that comic book shop is interesting and why and it's also, I'm not in one place. So I whenever I travel, I'll try and find the pockets and do coverage on the comics as well. So there's a whole bunch of different little moments like that where I wouldn't say necessarily it constantly feels like it's taking off, which is nice.
So I guess you get to go to a lot of different shops all over the world now, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm very lucky that a very understanding wife. So when you're traveling that far, you try and build in different things. Like I was on a trip to the UK and decided to go back via Seattle, which is why I ended up in the oldest comic shop in the world, because Emerald City Comic Con was on. And rather than just do the con as well, I thought I'll go and check out that store and make a video about that.
Okay.
And similarly, we were on holiday in Hawaii, and I'm like, I'm here. I'm going to go and do a video on the comic shops here. So I just every opportunity to travel is an opportunity to find a comic store.
Got a question from Michael. Wonder if you get a hometown spike when you're filming in a different city.
I think so. I think I do. So I did. We were on holiday in Canada, on Vancouver Island, and
Yeah.
we did a couple of shops there, and you do get the hometown spike from those different stores. But equally as well, I think I like to think I present it in such a way that actually people who aren't from that hometown also get a real kick out of it. And those videos tend to do the best on my channel, like just going to these different places, because people love that opportunity to see what's out there. So yes, you do get the hometown spike, but I equally think it's much broader in terms of its appeal as well.
Yeah, I got a couple of years ago. I picked up a Spider-Man collection, and I think inspired by that video, I'm going to get a clothesline and put
Yeah.
behind it and hang the Spider-Man ones that I got.
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, that video, that there's a store called Legends
Right.
in downtown Victoria, and they have literally clotheslines, and they have comics attached to the clotheslines, but not by the pegs, but they've got pegs in between. So it looks really, it's a really interesting way to display books. So shout
Yeah.
out to Gareth Goddard at Legends. He was an absolute joy to meet, and super knowledgeable and super passionate. And you could, he loves the hobby, and so it was a real pleasure catching up with him
Well,
and hearing his.
if I'm correct, he's also an artist, and he
He
makes
is.
daily comics.
Yeah. So every day he draws a little cartoon. He likes to think of himself as a cartoonist, and he draws a cartoon every day and publishes those illustrations. So he's got an Instagram page. He's a very interesting character, and just a general nice guy. Like the way he thought about how he sells books. He doesn't buy collections. He basically brings collections in and helps the seller. He
Right.
essentially consigns them, which is a really nice way of doing it, rather than a lot of dealers tend to just buy these collections, whereas I think his approach is a little bit more different, where he'll
Well,
on-sell them.
it also probably, from the business sense, helps with his overhead. He's not having to shell out as much money up front,
No.
and so he's able to bring in bigger collections without being out of pocket and hoping to recoup what he spent.
Yeah, for sure.
So it actually could be a pretty smart business practice for comic book collectors or comic book resellers.
Yeah, well, that's my struggle at the moment. I've got a whole stack of books that I haven't really got around to sort of selling a lot of the overcopies I've got, and there's some big books in there. I've got like an X-Men, giant size X-Men #1, like a 6.0 with a custom label.
Okay.
I've got a whole bunch of the books like that as I upgrade my collection, they sort of flow into the overcopies, and I haven't been able to sort of get to a point where I'm able to sell those or.
And is that a pence variant?
Some of them are pence variants, yeah. Some of them are
Oh,
pence.
I was asking about the GSX one.
No, it's not. There's no pence variant of GSX. That is all the giant size didn't come in pence forms. Only the standard floppies were in.
Okay.
And actually, there's gaps as well in the pence variants, which makes there are certain years where they didn't bring them in.
Oh, okay.
So that's what makes the pence variants a little bit. That's why I find them interesting to collect, and cover on the show as well, because not a lot of people know about them. Southern Comic Geek, woohoo!
Hey, Jason.
Thank you for covering for me last week.
Now, Jason, it's your turn to ask Dave some hard-hitting questions too. I was at a flea market today, and I saw the regular comic book dealer in there. He had a graded GSX-1 8.0 for sale in there.
What was the price?
He was asking $3,300.
That sounds about right, actually. If you look at the FMV, yeah.
I'm sure it's pretty close, but
on the 6.0, I was looking for. I think it did sell on eBay, but the buyer didn't pay, and we agreed a price of $1,913. So yeah, I mean that's probably that's half decent deal, $3,300, I think.
Well, he had. I know a couple of weeks ago he had one. How are his comics?
Well, that's a story into itself. They're not all 25 cents. They're 35 cents. I don't know if you've seen the videos, but I am collecting 35 cents copies, all of them, the whole run. So there was a period, 1978, 1979, which is when I was collecting that. Yeah, you've probably got a couple there, right?
Those two. I picked up those two from him today. So
those are good.
Yeah.
So those are key books, like First Guardian, First. That's the first.
One I only paid.
Right?
I got all all 5 of these today. 102, 103, 107,
And that's the first Starjammers. Yep.
108,
First John Byrne.
and 109. Paid
Yeah.
100 for all of it.
That's
But
great.
I mean, this one is stained, so there's some staining on it and some water damage. But low grade is better than no grade, and I now only need 3 books to complete from 94 to 544.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that my goal for this year was to get that completed, and so I was 12 shy at the beginning of the year, and now I'm down to 3 left. So
Yes. Yeah. You did
uh,
miss it.
what got Dave started to make content? He saw what other people were doing and thought he could do it better.
Well, I didn't say that.
I know, I know.
How does he get all those cool books and still get all the great video footage? So at the beginning, I didn't. So there was a lot of. It was more. I had the stuff. I'd ordered it through. I'd buy a lot from UK auction houses, and it seems to be this little treasure trove that not a lot of people are aware of, other than the UK collectors.
Okay,
And so I'll buy a lot from there and get it shipped over. Um, in terms of footage, when I'd go to a shop, I'd sometimes forget at the beginning, I'd forget to do the footage. So there's lots of instances where I've missed an opportunity or, so I generally try and do a lot more in the studio, or as I call the studio, but it's essentially a room, right? And try and tell the tale there. But at the beginning, I missed a lot of B-roll. Now, instinctively, I'll just film a lot now. It becomes habit, right? You've got to train yourself to always grab the footage when you can. So a
right.
good example of that was the Fantastic Four book. When I covered off my purchase of Fantastic Four, I did a whole lot of different footage for that video. Some of it didn't get used. But I took a lot of film, which is a crucial piece, because then you can pick and choose what you want to use. Right? And yes, I did buy from you. I have bought from Eubanks a few
Oh,
times. I don't know
is that
off
a
the top
British?
of my head. There's so many of them. I use my biggest one that I use is Excalibur Auctions. They're fantastic. I've come to really know the team there. They've got an order waiting for me at the moment, which I need to get shipped across. Which includes a piece of Jack Kirby original art from Forever People. So they get some really good stuff.
So when you go into the shops, do you take like a tripod and you got your big camera mount and all that, or is it just your iPhone?
No, it's just my phone. It's
Okay,
generally just my phone. I ask permission first if I can film. We'll always do that. And then literally I'll just go around the store just filming stuff. And it's pretty good. Like obviously the new cameras are pretty good. You can get some great footage on your phone, and then I'll either do a voiceover or just put some music on it. And it's amazing how much that actually transforms a video.
yeah, that's one thing I haven't done yet. I haven't done any real B-roll or just footage stuff. It's more just showing off what I picked up here and there. So
I've tried doing the voiceovers. I've sort of moved away from that now. I like to sort of just put the music on and let people see what there is. But I don't just like do pans. It's more like zooming in, zooming out. Giving a really clear view. Someone made a comment on one of my videos. I think it was the Heroes Con one, saying it was really good that you just did this slow pan across all of the books, rather than just like a quick glance, because you miss it. So I was very deliberate of like every single row going across, because I think it was the Heroes online booth, and they
oh,
had so many keys, and I'm like, look, this is you've got. So I spent a good 2-3 minutes going through every single book, so you got a real sense of the keys, so that it wasn't. It was almost like doing a reveal without having to. If you do a quick snapshot, you're not going to see what these books are. But I'll do a lot of these pan in, pan out. Try and think of a different angle to sort of take the video out.
Right. Okay. That's pretty cool. Are you gonna? Have you thought about getting the Meta glasses or anything like that for?
No, and the reason why is they're not a 4K. I think they're only 1024, so they're SD, right? Well, no,
Okay.
no, they're HD. So the problem with them is they're only short video clips, and then on top of that, they're not high res enough. So I'd have to like upscale, and that's like a lot of work. Whereas
Okay.
on your phone, you can do 4K, right? So you don't have to worry too much. I think some phones, I think Samsungs have even got 8K, right? So you can really crop in. So I tend to just use the phone. It's easier, but then if I'm going to do anything like that, I'll generally wear a mount. I've got one of these neck mounts, which I think Mike from Lunch Money Comics has got as well. And it just sits here, and you can go through the books. And I
Okay.
use both the camera and that sort of stuff rather than like Meta glasses would be good. I think if they get to 4K, then that becomes interesting, right? But at the moment, I just don't see how that's feasible.
It's probably a couple years off, and then every comic book YouTuber will have them.
Yeah, I'm also thinking. At one point, I was thinking of strapping the camera to my head, but I got out of that idea very, very quickly. That'd be distracting. It's bad enough on the chest, and that gets distracting. So.
Everybody's just looking at you like, who's this guy?
Yeah, you look like a Dalek or something.
um, so how did you find your niche in the or what would you say that your niche is, and how did you find it, and how did it evolve over time? To, I guess, what was your first niche? How did
Yeah.
you find that, and how has it evolved to what you have now or what you do now?
So I was doing pretty much what everyone else is doing, which is like unboxing, taking books out, showing books, giving a little bit of history, but not too much, right? So it was more around this is the haul I got, this is this. And that was my first foray. And then I started doing these little, as I say, the first one I did when I got some success with the oldest comic book shop. That's the one that made me realize, oh, actually, I should be doing a little bit more, mixing it up. And I think that's crucial for every YouTuber to try, right? Don't just do one thing over and over, just experiment with content.
Right.
So I did that, and then I realized that was going to work. Then I also realized that going to shows, if I'm going to go to shows, I should do a show video. And those are also good and successful for me. So those two things became quickly two things that I wanted to focus on was like comic book tours, con tours, as well as reveal. So build, this is my haul, but this is the event that I went to, or this is the comic book shop that I went to. So that was the first niche. And then I think the real pivotal moment for me was working out how to sort my editing flow out. So I don't know if we talk about equipment later, but I got a teleprompter, right?
Right.
So I was able to then come up with the history of the book, the script of the book, and have notes that I was able to reference when I was actually giving that information out. And it pivoted my content from just a person showing a book to actually a person telling a story about that book, why it's important, the history of that book, and then showing the book. There's a lot of channels that do the history bit, and there's a lot of channels that do the book piece, but they generally only do the cover, right? And they'll talk about their excitement, or whereas I try and do the whole piece, which is the story of the book, the history of the book, the creators behind it, and then show the book, but not just the cover, turn the pages. And that's another niche that I found was particularly interesting, is being able to go in and read those pages. Or some of the best ones, the most fun ones I did Marvel 2 in 1. I did a Marvel 2 in 1. I think I did a Team Up one. And basically, I had a batch of books that I picked up, which everyone would go as a haul video, and they would just go, "Here's the book, here's the book." I did it by turning the page, showing the splash page, so you get a real sense of like the story. And if it was a key issue, taking it to the key issue page. But then also telling the story at the beginning about how these books came about. Like I did a giant size one with a big haul of giant size books, but talked about how giant size books came about, why they existed. So that's the niche I've sort of landed in, where I'm able to tell that story for newbies, or people new to the hobby, but then equally those people who aren't, hopefully people who have been in the hobby for a while find something new in there as well. But then equally, anyone who's been in the hobby, they can see inside the books, which in the world of slabs and generally sometimes we don't even get to see inside them.
Right.
So,
All right. Yeah, I definitely like the way you give the in-depth history and all that of the book. I think it's a very cool way, and it is different than what, like you said, like what a lot of people or do, or a lot of people do, like you said, show off what they got and that's it. But
yeah,
doing the history and a deep dive into the book is very much something that new people or the casual person that wants to know about, hey, what's this Superman thing that's going on this year? Let
yeah,
me go find out about the character and stuff like that, what I don't know about him. So
yeah.
that's pretty cool.
And actually, that was one of the comic book channels I really love, was Comic Tropes. Still love Comic Tropes. And he's very much on that side of the fence, right? Where it's like he picks a subject, he tells the story. It's not about him showing books off. It's about actually he creates that story. I like to think of myself as someone sitting somewhat in the middle. And I love researching this stuff. Like I've got 6 or 7 word like docs open at the moment with different ideas, and I'm constantly checking, trying to find sources, so that actually I can tell something that no one's found out before, or find a unique hook. My hope is that every single video that you watch, you you might have been in comics for years, but you'll still find something new that you didn't know. So I do all the legwork in the hope that it really sort of gives new ideas or information to people.
Well, like I said in the backstage before the show started, your latest video about Wolverine, I mean, he's my favorite character in Marvel, but you presented me with a lot of information I didn't know about him. So, like, I mean, I didn't realize that he was actually, or possibly created by a fan
Yeah,
in magazine, because it even said he had a metal skeleton. I mean,
yeah, and a
I mean,
healing
so I
factor.
didn't know all that. So I mean, that's pretty cool to learn, and how his claws were originally part of the gloves and not actually
Yeah,
in his arms. So
yeah.
that's a
There's
lot.
and that's the thing. There's so many different. I just love finding those things out, and it's stuff that I've learned over the years. In the case in that book in particular, right? I've found these things out, and at the beginning, I was always thinking, you know, I made the mistake at the beginning of talking from a position of knowledge, right? Assuming everybody else knew this stuff, right? And I think as a YouTuber, you've got to train yourself to give a, you know, almost not dumb it down, but just get to a point where you remind yourself that not everyone has that knowledge, and
Right.
it's your job to be able to impart that in some way, shape, or form. So I knew all that intimately, but I'm like, I need to get this out to sort of share it with people.
Yeah, I know.
And
I consider that as well. You said we need, as YouTubers, we need to bring it down for the casual viewer. I guess that must be one of my strengths, because I don't have the knowledge that a lot of y'all have about. I mean, I can watch you or Jason or Mark from Legion of Comics, and y'all are spouting off artists, creators, writers, and all that. I'm like, oh, this picture's pretty.
yeah, yeah. But I
I
think
like
that's
this.
the thing I've learned. you have to go if you're in that world, and you'll notice a lot. That's the thing that has changed. You'll notice over the time, I will preface or at least tell. If I mention an artist's name, I'll go, this artist started in the same, like I deliberately try and go back and highlight it. So it's not like just a name. There's actual history behind it.
So, if you don't mind spilling your secrets, where do you do all your research? Where do you get
Internet,
your information from?
internet primarily, and YouTube videos. And yeah, I know I just dig deep, use and just find an article or find a, you know, CGC boards is good at finding stuff. But good old Google just does it, right? Like you just stick a query in and then just as long as you've just got to like keep digging. Like the key for me is just to just keep digging and then go to these obscure sources. And it's stuff that's potentially already on a blog that's just buried and no one knows about it. So that's it's taking the time to try and find those things.
Do you try to, I guess, if you find something obscure, do you try to go and reference it somewhere else? See if you can find another reference to it, so you can kind of confirm.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like there's instances where you don't want to, like certain sources you can rely on, right? Like
Right.
if it's a New York Times article, right, you're not going to really they're not going to publish anything that's like incorrect. But when you're using forums, you to your point, you have to like double check and see if it's referenced elsewhere. Or even like the beautiful thing about our hobby is you can check a lot of this stuff, right? Because a lot of it relates to and then there's another good example in that video is a classic one. It wasn't clear to me who had redrawn the face for the Hulk, so I went
Right.
straight to the horse's mouth and asked John Romita Jr. what was the story there, and he confirmed it. Like, so there are instances like that where you can do that.
Yeah, and you get to go to a lot of cons, so you get to ask those particular questions.
Yeah, and when you talk to those creators as well, it's great because they really open. Like, I found a load of stuff out about the UK Marvel stuff through interviewing Alan Murray, who's the art director. So again, sometimes it's easier to just go straight to the person that was there at the time and get their view on it. I mean, there are also some key people that generally always get this right. So.
Yeah, you and Jason probably have probably get the most miles in per year to go
Yeah,
con.
yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I do a lot of travel, but yeah, it's more around when I do like travel, just trying to sort of, if you're expected to travel, then I try and tie in other things. So it's not like I've there's all this disposable income. It's just more like I'm very clever in terms of if I'm going on holiday, I'll do something. If I'm, you know, like my wife and I were joking last night because I'm just booking Heroes for next year already because I want to get it at a cheap price and yeah, go from there. So Heroes is booked.
Okay, I am trying to make plans to be there for Heroes in 2026. So
Awesome. Yeah, it's a
I,
great con.
I've been
My
watching
favorite.
all the videos and seeing everybody go, so I would look forward to making it there one day.
Yeah.
Um, so what type of content would you say best performs on your video? Would it be the deep dives into the characters, or like the origination of the?
No, see, that's the real trick. So, what I'll quite honestly, if you'd have asked me before that Superman video, I would have said it's cons and comic book tours that have a unique angle, right? So if you look at my top 10 best performing videos, it's literally most of them are con show floor tours or they're comic book stores that have a unique flavor to them. And then the other two that did do well was that giant size haul video and the Marvel 2-in-1 one. So those have done well. I think they got like in the region of 6,000 or 7,000 views, and they did quite well over, pretty quickly. So I'd say it's definitely contours. It's definitely things like my room tour video did very well too. And with exception of, say, the Giant Size and the Marvel 2-in-1, the Superman video just did nuts. But I think that did nuts because it was a bit of a unique story. It was at the right time because Superman had just come out.
Right.
And yeah, so it was about that book. So it worked really well. So yeah, I think that's the stuff that performs well. I know when I'm going to put out a con video, it usually does well. I'm going to experiment with another one of those haul videos. So I think I'll be doing a bit of a deep dive on Nick Fury, Agents of Shield soon. But again, I did one for Superman, and then I did one for Fantastic Four. The Superman one video did gangbusters. The Fantastic Four one just didn't go anywhere, right? Like it still got decent views, but it was just in comparison, the ones you expect to hit never hit. Like this Wolverine one this week it's 300 views, which blows my mind that's only got 300 views. Whereas then you've got others that just get 7,000 or 8,000, and you're like, well, what? Still haven't worked out what, and I don't think I ever will, what's going to hit versus what's not.
Well, I still think the Wolverine one has the potential of being an evergreen or immortal video. I mean, It's going to last a long time, just like Wolverine does. I mean, it's over 200 years old. So 200 years from now, people will probably be watching that video and say, oh, so this is how Wolverine got started.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And your grandkids will be getting residual, or great grandkids will be getting residual.
I wonder what happens to that when it'd be funny to see if that actually lasts in perpetuity.
Who knows? I mean, set up an estate and have the copyright transferred.
Yeah,
on and on and on.
That's a good point.
With AI, they can clone you so that you can make new content even afterwards.
Yeah.
So how do you balance, or do you actually? Is there any balance between what you love to talk about and what the YouTube algorithm wants? Or like most people have answered this, they just make what they want. They don't care about the algorithm.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, I pay a bit of attention in terms of how I package it, but outside of that, it's always content it's a story I want to tell.
Right. Okay.
Because the reason why I do this is because I'm passionate about the subject, and if the algorithm picks it up, that's a happy circumstance. Like I would make all the videos that I've already done again and again. I just get disappointed when the algorithm ignores it on certain things that I'm so passionate about, but I'm still going to do it. And I think that's the thing. Like you have to stay true to your voice and what you love.
Right.
So, because otherwise you just, I could do a top 10 video, but I don't want to, like, that's not, I'll do a top 10 video on my terms that works, as opposed to, I'd hate to be on the hook to sort of have to do what Comic Tom has to do, right? Like he literally has to sort of talk about the top 10 books, and they're the same top 10 books almost every week. And it's like, yeah, it's great. And you've carved out a really good niche, but I'd hate to have to I don't want it to be work. It's not work. This is a hobby, and it's a great hobby and a great community. That's yeah. So the algorithm be damned. I'll just keep pumping out the content, and you'll find content.
That might be a good shirt or for merchandise. The algorithm be damned.
Probably. No, but I do love the fact that I'd say if you're a YouTuber and made your last question, the one that you always ask everyone, don't think about the algorithm to some degree, because if you do, you're going to go down a rabbit hole, and it might not be what you enjoy.
Yeah, you're right. Um, I mean, talking about niches and that, like, that's one of the reasons why, or we talked about niches a few minutes ago. That's one of the reasons why I came up with the idea for this particular live stream was like everybody shows off new comic book day hauls
Yeah,
or stuff like that. It's the same, and everybody's showing off the same books because it's the same new comic books that come out every Wednesday, and you're not going to stand out. I I find it interesting to try to figure out how people do things and how they got started doing stuff. So
yeah, I love it.
that's the reason why I came up with this live
It's a
stream.
great,
Yeah. So
yeah, it's a great series. As I say, I've been on a couple of the streams just posting comments and questions because I do think it's really interesting to see how other people look at it, and hopefully some people get some value out of this today as well in
yeah.
terms of just
Well, I
different.
think they will once we get into the production aspect of the stuff because
Yep.
your production quality is up there at the top from what I've seen. So um, okay, and before we get into production, is there a mistake that you made early on that you wish that somebody had warned you about?
Uh, Not really, not really. So there's not really been any mistakes that I can think of. Oh, there was one mistake, which I set up my website incorrectly, and linked my AdSense account to it, Ad Manager. So when you can advertise, right? So I've never advertised on YouTube because my account got suspended. And I've not been able to unlock it. So it's weird. I get all my I get all my demonetization, etc. But I can't do any ads. So I know some YouTubers, for instance, they promote their videos, right?
Right.
Never been able to do that, and I set it up wrong, and I haven't been able to I haven't been able to fix it. I'm still working on it at the moment.
Does
But yeah, that's one of the mistakes. I wish someone had told me or given me like I'm pretty techie and I didn't work it out. Like it's yeah.
does
That's probably a mistake.
can you get ad revenue from promoted ads or promoted videos?
Oh, I don't know about that. It was more just to sort of I know that there are certain YouTubers they promote certain videos, so you end up paying for it, and you'll still get ad revenue, but it doesn't. The two don't sort of coincide, as my understanding. But I've never used it, so I don't know. I couldn't talk to it.
I probably need to talk to the comic vet. In his show or when he was on, he did say that he's done some of the promotions and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
didn't think about it at the time to follow up on that question because I'm not at the point where I'm promoting any videos yet. So
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing that I would not a mistake that no one wished someone told me. One mistake I wish I'd known about at the beginning. Well, I would have done the live shows earlier. Um, but again, you actually need to go through that as a YouTuber to find
right,
to work out how this all happens. I think it's actually better to make a mistake so that actually you learn from it.
yeah, I've noticed. I've seen some other people where they seem to like taken off once they've gotten into the live stream aspect of YouTube. I
Yeah.
think YouTube's rewarding that a little bit, or it definitely helps with the watch hours.
It definitely helps with the watch hours. I think it's the other way around. I think the consistency on long form is key. Like
Okay.
that is like I could get rid of the live stream tomorrow if I really wanted to. I think that helps with the community engagement, like the ongoing, because live streams don't get anywhere near the views you get on long form,
Right.
right? Um, the way I see the live streams is more of the community aspect, right? That's your core audience joining you every week. They'll get it on the rewind or they'll watch it, because it's a little bit more freeform. Whereas the long form ones are much more of like that's you presenting your brand. Um,
I know with like this particular stream, I actually have it. I mean, I have it in a playlist for all my videos. like most people probably do. But then I also created a podcast playlist for it, and it's actually has its own comic channel origin podcast on YouTube. So that seems to get a few more views than um, just the regular live stream or the all my video playlist.
So do you turn it, because this is something I've toyed with and I haven't got around to doing this yet. Sometimes I'll be like, if you then turn, like, I'd look at this and go, do I then just repurpose this and make it a full form video rather than a live? Because I've noticed some other YouTubers do that, right? Or they repackage elements of it and make it a long form video.
I've done one clip or two. I'm still rocking the free versions of stuff, which all that's I know like StreamYard has a if you in the paid plan, it can take clips that has built-in AI that'll take key points and clips and reformat it to where the people are one's above and one's below, so it can fit in the portrait mode for shorts and stuff like that. So I know, do you know Matt from Heroes for Hire? Comic Club? He's done that a lot. I've seen a lot of his shorts are repurposed from his lives that he does. So, and I think he told me that that was a feature that was included in the paid version of StreamYard.
Yes.
And I know with the shorts, and I guess you can use that as a way to loop back to your long streams. If you do a short that leads into the long stream, you can have a link so they can click on it and go there. So
that's what I'm doing now. So there's a lot more of that. That's how I use shorts. So shorts will be like a little clip from the video, and it essentially has a link that goes to the main video.
Are you making a short right now that talks about some of the key, like do 15-second teaser about Wolverine and how he's the best there is and tie it in?
So I just done 2. Yeah. So there's 2 out there now.
Okay.
Yeah, really relate to that. So hopefully that's not a mistake, but that's something that I would definitely recommend people do now. Is if they've got a new video, then do that alongside that, because
like I'm gonna try to do some of that with these, but since I'm not paying for those particular services, I actually got to take it or download it, take it into the editor, put 2 copies so I can have one above and one below and do all that manual work. So it's a little bit longer of a process.
Yeah. Opus Clip is the one I use to do stuff.
Okay.
It's worth it. And that's another thing I'd say. A lot of these tools, they cost a bit, but it's picking the right tools to sort of do the job. Like Opus Clip does a really great job. I think if you do, StreamYard's just a funny one, right? Like they're so expensive. But
yeah, so far I'm liking the free version of Restream that I'm using here. So
if you can use a free one, you should, for sure.
On the free version, I can do unlimited streaming. Whereas now the free version of StreamYard, I think you only get 5 hours a month.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And so, I mean, if you're streaming a lot, you'll use that up pretty quick.
Yeah. So well, weekly stream would kill it. Yeah, for sure.
So what is your process for planning and producing a video from idea to upload? I know we've touched on a few things. You said you had a couple of Word docs opened on your computer right now, building your ideas.
Yeah. So I'll just literally, I'll have my phone with me. I'll be watching YouTube. I'm inspired by something, or I'll see a clip, or I'll read a book, or I'll buy a book, and I'll just literally go, right, I'll start a doc, and then just start finding links and just throwing them in the book, in that Word doc, and then I'll just literally work on them over time and just what feels right. So that's the process. As I bring them all in, I do generate ideas using AI as well. Like that's something that I found really useful. So I use Gemini a lot to do that stuff.
Okay.
But it's more just generating the ideas themselves, like generating ideas or titles or things like that. I definitely use vidIQ a lot,
Okay.
because
I
that
was
really
thinking
helps
about
with the
this.
titles. So I'll like go and put a title in and say, this is what I'm writing about, like what I think is a good title. And it'll spit out like a ranking in terms of like this, every single title that goes in, it gives me a ranking of like what it will score in terms of attractiveness to YouTubers. So, I avoid some of the titles because they're way too crazy and I would never write like that. So, but it's got to be something that works, and I'll adapt it, and it'll give you a number of how successful it thinks that title is, or how good are you at, like it tells you how good your thumbnail is, for instance.
Right.
So that's that. And then what I'll do is I'll have the script. Once it's finished, I'll draft my script. Like I'll write the story. Like for every show, I'll do like the entire transcript as a proper script, and then I'll chuck it onto the teleprompter, and essentially it's there for me. So the amount of time that's reduced takes wise is it's been phenomenal, because suddenly you're going from, you make a mistake, you're having to memorize everything, it gets really tricky, and you go down a little rabbit and it gets a bit weird. With this, it's on the screen, you can see it, you're not necessarily reading from it, but you can basically remember what you were going to say. And just having a structure as well, like, I always have my, welcome to Still Only 35 Cents, your regular dose of vintage comics and collectibles, right? So you get to this point where there's things that you always say that you don't, that just, they slot in. So every single video I've done over the last, I don't know, 6 months has had a script, essentially.
Okay.
So
What's the teleprompter program or app or that you're using?
it is. So there's a lot of ways you can do it. You can put your phone up there near the screen, and you can get these teleprompter apps on the phone. And that was the initial way I was looking at trying to do it. But I think I can't remember the brand now. There's a teleprompter that. Let me see if I can find the brand. It's who does the little decks that have the stream decks, right?
Okay.
I can't remember if they Elgato. So it's the Elgato prompter,
Okay.
and essentially what it does is it just drops over the top of your screen. It's like a little screen, and so when I'm doing lives, for instance, I can see the live stream on the camera. So I'm looking at the camera, talking to that.
You said Elgato?
Elgato, yeah. So Elgato. So I can look at the live stream and I can see I'm actually looking at the camera, and I can see all the action on the teleprompter. And then when I'm doing my videos, you switch to text, and it'll actually have the text on the screen.
Okay.
So it's a
Does
really
it?
useful tool, and it's really helped just improve workflow, because you've got that information on the screen, and even when you're doing a live, I'm looking at the camera. Like now, I have to, with this, for instance, the camera's on right in front of me, so it's good, but I have to like move the camera up and down.
Right.
Whereas this one, the screen is on the camera, so I don't have to look down.
Now, like the other day, I was doing the comic issues daily, and I had my phone like right here, and the
Yeah,
camera's right here, and I'm like looking down. I watched a replay of it. And I can see that I'm looking down like
yeah,
75% of the video. It was
yeah,
like,
and
that
that's
sucks, but
yeah, and that's why the prompters are good, because it's not just about teleprompting stuff. It's actually the fact that if you're on a live, you're actually interacting with the camera, because you're
yeah,
looking at that screen as it's in front of the camera.
it's all about eye contact, making it feel
Yeah,
like you're not trying to talk to thousands of people. You're trying to talk to one person
yeah, yeah,
and make that connection. So, and that making the connection will help bring people back so you can get more views
yeah,
down the line.
for sure. Yeah.
Um, any like what type of cameras do you use for your pre-records and
So the pre-records, there's a mixture of two. I've got the Sony ZV-E1, that's the main one. That's the one I do most of my videos on. And I've got I think it's a Tamron lens, which is an f1.8. So you get that really sort of nice blurry background. And it's a fabulous setup. That just stays in the office. It's just sitting there. And I've got a big light box, which basically shines down. And then obviously I've got my little tripod on the side where I do my overhead shots. So that's a Sony ZV-E10 Mark II.
Okay.
And that one I use to sort of do the overhead stuff. I was using phones, but that didn't necessarily work as well, particularly in terms of the res, because cameras, stream at 1080, but you can't do that on a phone. Sometimes it doesn't recognize it as, definitely not as 4K,
Right.
right? I mean, they're useful, but it's just the compatibility. But yeah, I'll use a whole bunch of different gear. But those are the two main cameras I use, the two Sonys.
And what type of what are you using to record? Are you doing Zoom, or are you doing OBS, or?
So recording the lives, it's all StreamYard.
Okay.
And recording direct, I literally bring everything into Premiere. I've got Premiere Pro.
Okay.
I do it all in Premiere Pro, which is, it was a bit of a learning curve, but I use Photoshop. I've used Photoshop for years, so it wasn't that hard for me to sort of turn it around there. But yeah, not a lot of people can. I went straight for the most expensive option, which is stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just starting a new setup or process myself. I guess I've been wanting to work with the overhead camera because I think that's a great way to show books instead of like
Yeah.
trying to have them over here. You can set, but since I'm using the free versions of like StreamYard or Restream, it's lower resolution by default. You got to pay up for that, and then I only got my one camera that's on top of the computer, and then I got the my phone is the other camera. I found I'd used the GPT to tell me some good alternatives for streaming from my phone to the thing, and it found me a free uh, app that will stream at 1080p
Yep.
over to, and I can also I'm using that, and OBS is what I recorded the last one in, so I could control the size of the windows of the pictures. So because
Yeah.
I didn't think it was good to have my face the same size as the comic book face over here, where the emphasis at the time of the showing is the actual comic book. So I can be
Yeah.
smaller and still talk about it. So,
Yeah,
so
I'd get around that completely because I don't do any of it in sort of those. Literally, I'll film. So the way I do it, I record audio separately and I
okay,
sync it with the video, and then I will also do. So I've got the video of me doing the talking, and then the overhead camera footage is completely separate, and then I just bring that all to Premiere and just edit it all live.
okay,
What I've also found useful is the overhead shots. I just make the overhead shots all the full screen and I talk over it. That way, because sometimes when I tried this idea of having the two, but I feel like that it takes the pressure off you somewhat if you only have to do the voiceover.
yeah, I did realize, or when I was recording the video last night, I kept consciously thinking, well, if the camera's on me, I need to be looking at the camera a little bit more than looking over
And
here.
that's the problem. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. Which is why I stopped doing it because you spend most of your time just looking down at the book, right?
Right.
And that otherwise, then you'd have to re-record it. So I sort of just went. I'll just make the book the hero.
Yeah, but I did like the OBS because I could change
Yeah,
the sizes of the windows, and I figured out how to do the phone in landscape mode or in portrait mode for showing it. So it was actually the frame was right around the actual book instead of having a lot of uh, bezel area out on the side. So, um, anything else that you use tool wise or app programs or?
Um, Not really. Like it's really quite basic in terms of the stuff that I use. Like I use Photoshop for I'll use Photoshop for the thumbnails. So that's Notebook LM's useful. I found Notebook LM to be useful
Mhm.
because it sort of pulls together all those disparate sources and can give you some insights. The other one I can't live without, and I'm always in that app, which is the YouTube Studio app. Like that is, if you're a YouTuber and you're not using YouTube Studio enough,
Yeah.
then do some research on that because it can really help you in terms of understanding what's doing well versus what's not doing well.
Yeah. I also
Another
listen.
one. No, there you go.
I was gonna say I listen to podcasts too about YouTube and stuff like that, like
Yeah.
vidIQ. They have their the boost.
vidIQ is amazing. I would never pay. So I paid originally for the coach stuff because they had a
Okay.
special offer on it. I had two or three that were terrible. I had one who was awesome, but it's just in my mind, it's not worth the money. The
Yeah.
actual service itself is worth the money, but the coaching piece is not.
Yeah. I would probably possibly pay for the service. I wouldn't pay for the coach because I
Yeah,
don't have time myself to give to the coach to make it cost efficient.
yeah. I think if there's one thing I would if I had to take away all of the video services that I use, vidIQ I wouldn't get rid of. Like it's perfect. It helps me respond to people, gives me all the analytics above and beyond what YouTube Studio does. It integrates really well into it, which is fabulous. Um, another one I use is Video Bolt for creating animations and extra bits and pieces that I need.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I meant to ask you about that. Like
yeah, and I've used it.
your opening.
Yeah,
Is that where you made that, or who?
well, I made that years ago using Video Bolt. Yeah, and just kept using it. But I've since made other YouTubers a whole bunch of stuff. So I did Ozzyverse's latest logo using that. I did one for uninfluencers. Yeah, it's a great service because I'm paying for it anyway, and then basically, but then I also use it for things like when I do like text that animates, right? You can go in, you can type in the text that you need, it'll generate the animation, you pop it then straight into Premiere, and it's done. So it's again, it's expensive, but it's useful. It's really useful if you want to get that look. Um,
Okay.
and then the other one I use is artlist.io for all the music stuff
Okay.
because you know if you're going to use music, you need to make sure you're not going to get pinged from a copyright. And it's got some really good stuff on there, so I use them a lot as well.
Yeah, I talking about music. I used the Chat GPT Sora one time. I just like joke around and said, "Hey, make me a song for I have comic issues," and it did, and it was kind of funny. Actually, uh, plan on I want to make a video for that, just like put some graphics to it or whatever and throw that up there just for the fun. Not that it's going to do anything, but just for me, for my entertainment and
Yeah,
amusement. So, but I plan on doing that. I've gotten a lot of benefit out of just using Chat GPT.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I use like you said you sometimes you use vidIQ to help you with your titles and stuff like that. I use GPT to help with my titles and
yeah,
that, but I come up with my titles probably uh, backwards than what most people because that's probably the last thing I come up with
yeah,
is I have my idea for my video, I'll record my video, and then I get my transcript from my video. I don't do scripts. I'm just more of a winging it, but that's probably also why I miss a lot of stuff that I meant to say.
yeah,
Um, but I'll download the transcript and then upload that into GPT and say, give me the top 10, or give me 10 great titles for this video.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll ask for a description too, and then they'll even give me suggestions for a thumbnail. So
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's good.
it's pretty handy. So, um, so other than live streams, is there any other way that you might engage with your community? Or I guess you have a membership too, don't you? Now?
We do have membership. I'm debating whether or not I continue that though, to be honest, because it puts a lot of pressure on. Because you want to give back. I mean, the good news is it's all going to charity, so that's it all goes to the Hero Initiative.
Okay.
But it's tough because you have to then create content, and you're only getting like, I mean, at the moment I think we've got 15 to 20 members, and it sort of feels like, you're making content for a very small group. So I'm trying to work out how to make memberships work better. I think John and Richard have a really good way that they do it on Bronze and Modern Gods. They literally make their live stream. They have it's a members only, right?
Right.
And they treat it as like their second show, and they've got heaps of people join because they want to see that show. And so I'm like thinking about experimenting that way, or maybe not even doing memberships at all, because it's sort of, it just puts a lot of pressure on as a YouTuber. Right?
Do you do the members first videos?
I do, yeah, I do, but I generally try and do members only. But I have started doing members first for the creator interviews, because I feel like that doesn't help the creators, right? Like they're only getting like a limited view count. It's sort of a bit of that, they've gone and given me this time. I should be paying, letting them see it. So that one's members first, and then goes to full video. Like we think about like 2 weeks between those.
I know
But
there's
then,
some other YouTubers that on their memberships they release their videos 2 or 3 days early to the members, and then they have their premiere date or whatever.
yeah, but I sort of don't know if that necessarily works in my mind. Like you're either going to go member only, or it's only for certain instances. I think 3 or 4 days is, I see membership sometimes as a way of just giving support, and that was why I wanted to make mine. Like I don't want people's. I think our membership works purely and so does Rob's Fat Stacks, by the way, as well, right? Like his memberships are all built around raising money for Comics Curing Cancer.
Right.
Mine's around raising money for Hero Initiative, right? So I feel less burdened because all that money is going to a good cause, to charity.
Right.
But I just, I struggle. I still struggle with the membership space.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not at that point yet, so eventually I'll come to that crossroad and decide what I want to do.
Yeah.
I got the members, I got the subscribers. I just got to get the watch hours up.
Channels,
So, yeah, I think I'm only about 2,500 hours away.
It gets there. He'll get there. He'll get there for sure.
So we covered the tools, and that we already did that one. So last question. Any advice that you would give to somebody that wanted to start off a comic book YouTube channel?
Do it. Is my first piece of advice. Stop making excuses and do it. Right. If you've got a story to tell, you should get out there and do it. And even if you don't have any, I'm lucky. I've got the equipment, and in hindsight, I should have done it earlier.
Right.
And I think that's the big observation for me, is that, don't be afraid to get yourself out there, practice, keep doing it. There's never a right or wrong time. So getting content out there. But I think the critical thing that I would say to all people thinking about it is have a story to tell. Don't just do it because you're copying or want to do, think about what you're going to put out there. Think about what your point of difference is. Think about, what you want to try and get out of it. One of the things that I do love about being in the YouTube community is the community, right? And if that's your reason, then that's perfect too, right? Like there's no right or wrong with it. But as I say, don't think you're going to hit overnight. You might do, but see it as a creative outlet. That's how I.
All right. Well, thank you for all that. Thank you for your insight on all these questions that I had for you. Is there anything you want to promote other than the Wolverine video?
Just just the channel itself is I'm really grateful to all of the the audience, people that have watched, people that have commented. Just head over to Still Only 35 Cents. As I say, we have normal weekly video, and then on top of that we have the live stream Merry Monday Mail Call every Monday. It's, as I say, I'm just humbled by the fact that everyone likes the content, watches the content, and getting feedback just like the one you just given me, Brian, is always fun, and just wonderful to be on the show, and great to be able to support it.
Thank you for being here. Hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope everybody enjoys watching this on the replay. I'm going to promote it to all the channel or the IG channels chat groups that we got to say that they should have been here to watch it. But I think we got other shows that are popping in. Oh, we got Michael who said thank you. Yeah, thank you for being here, Michael. For all y'all that are wondering, my guest next week is going to be Eric from SideQuest Comics.
Nice.
So he'll be my guest next week. And then I think the week after that is when I'll be speaking with Brandon. Got his back. Cool. So with all that being said, Dave, I'm going to let you get back to start your Monday work week. So let me sign out, and I'll talk to you in just a second.
Thank you.